have already covered quite a few. And last time I was giving a review. And today I would like to continue with the next stage. Next week I wouldn't be here. I would be in Hong Kong, giving a lecture on March 15 and 16. So I wouldn't be here next week. So I guess there's no rush for this 9 stages. We better go slowly and grasp the idea, grasp the main concept, instead of hastily going it through. Now, if you look at the summary, first of all, the personal instructions that you have heard and correctly apply the method for focusing on the object of attention. The first one is mental placement. You remember there are 9 stages, and the first one, mental placement, is to pull your object of attention to inside. Then repeatedly reflect on the way of setting your attention, and as you are able to bring together a little continuity, sustain a continuous stream of attention, which is continuous placement. So the first one is to gear yourself internally first, prepare yourself, gear yourself internally, which is the mental placement. Second is to keep that thought continuously. And you know that there's object of attention. You already have an object of attention. Does everybody know object of attention? If you don't even know that you have an object of attention, you're not meditating. You're sitting there doing nothing. Object of attention, that word. I'll explain that again, but let's go through, read through it first. So the second is continuous placement. Then if your mindfulness declines and you become distracted, swiftly draw your attention back in and quickly become mindful that you have forgotten the object of meditation. So that's a patch placement, which also means correcting placement, because you lose your object of your thought, your attention on the object of attention. You patch it up, you're correcting it all the time. So there's a patch placement or correcting placement. Then generate powerful mindfulness and bring forth the force of mindfulness that prevents distraction. That's close placement, which means that your thought goes away, you want to correct it, that's correcting placement. Then you correct it only after a long time. That wandering thought leads you away for a long time. Almost like immediately you lose your object of attention, you're being led away, you put it back so that it's close to you. It should be very close to you. You don't lose any time. In other words, you don't wake up only half an hour later, or 20 minutes later, or 5 minutes later, or 2 minutes, or 1 second later. You're immediately almost very close. Next, by accomplishing forceful mindfulness and by seeing the faults of laxity, desultoriness, and so on, develop this vigilance to monitor your attention. That's taming. Taming has more to do with more subtle thoughts, subtle, desultory thoughts. I think I was up to that point, taming. Remember we talked about the object of attention? Everybody should have an object of attention. If you don't even know your object of attention, you don't know yourself. If you don't know that there are objects of attention, you don't even know yourself. What is this I? Let's do a little bit of review. What is this I? I am. This is Venerable Cheng, and there's Lee, and there's Brian, there's, whatever. What is this? What is this I, that I? Who are you? Where do you come from? You don't say you come from Vancouver. Where do you come from? Where are you from? Where are you going? Where are you going up to death? Where were you before you were born? Who is this I? Who is this identity? I, if I analyze myself, is made up of this body and mind, right? This body and mind. If I give an analogy of I'm an apartment. This body is an apartment, and my apartment has 6 doors in it. 6 doors. You got 6 doors. Do you know that your apartment has 6 doors? This body apartment? This apartment is just rental. No, as I said, no ownership, no title. Because if you have ownership, you don't have to leave. You don't have to leave this apartment if you have ownership. You have absolutely no ownership. You're only leasing it for a short while. For 100 years? 200 years? No. At the most 100 years. And this apartment have 6 doors. What are the 6 doors? The 6 doors are eyes, ears, nose, tongue. What else? Body. And then the mind. The mind also has the door that open. There's 6 doors. And doors are for what? Doors are for coming in and out. What will be coming into the doors? Maybe you don't realize it. All coming into these doors are your objects of attention. And those objects of attentions, you have to watch them. They are pirates, thieves, robbers, getting you. And you have to guard your doors. You need an alarm system. Do you have an alarm system at the doors? If you don't, you have to install an alarm system. Meditation. You have to understand that you got those doors, and your eyes see things. And every object, every form, every color, everything that you see enters the door. And if you're being influenced by those objects, by the way, what happened when you see something? When your senses, don't you know that you're made up of senses? Or you don't even know? Can you analyze yourself? The Buddhist teaching is not just blind faith. Chanting all the time and worshiping and kneeling down. No, it's nothing about that. It's about yourself, about your own consciousness. Because it's only if you want to be a saint, you have to understand yourself. You have to analyze yourself so that you can be a saint. So, all these objects of attention, your eyes, your nose, your ears, you have to watch them. And eyes, ears, nose, the tongue, the body, there are objects, there are 6 organs: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, or the brain. Some people call it the brain. You can call it the brain if you want. So the six very important doors. And eyes, of course, corresponds to form. Ears corresponds to sound or interact with sound. Nose interact with smell, and tongue interact with taste. Body interact with touch, and the mind interacts with what? With the thoughts created in you. When eyes interact with form, we call that the visual consciousness arises. When I see you, my visual consciousness of you arises. When my ears listen to sound, the auditory consciousness arises. When the nose interact with smell, the odor consciousness arises. When the tongue interact with taste, the taste consciousness arises. When the body touch, the touch consciousness arises. When the brain thinks, interact with thoughts, interact with whatever comes up internally, then you have the mano consciousness, or people just simply call it the mind consciousness. These are the 6 consciousness. all these consciousness interact also with the seventh consciousness. That's the manas consciousness. That is the consciousness of the ego. Everybody maintain that ego. That's the troublemaker, your ego. That's an ego, that's the manas consciousness. And then there's also all these things. When the body dies, you mean you don't exist anymore? Yes, you physically don't exist, but your energy still exists. Your consciousness, it all shrink into the alaya consciousness, which is the eighth consciousness. That alaya consciousness is the storage consciousness, it's the banking consciousness that contains all the energy seeds in it, good and bad and indifferent. And that energy, which is invisible, not audible, it is beyond comprehension. No scientific equipment can detect that alaya consciousness. That's the consciousness that reincarnates one life after another, one life after another. Carrying what? Carrying this energy. And what is this energy called? Do you remember what is this energy called? Karma. K-A-R-M-A. Karma. There's bad karma, there's good karma, there's indifferent karma. Good karma, you carry good karma with you. It's amazing when you die, you can take nothing with you. Not your bank account, not your assets, or jewelries, or your inventory, your CEO status, your yacht, your mansion, your Rolls Royce, your Benz, your Volkswagen. What can you take with you? They're materials. You can't take nothing of those. How many digits you got in your bank account? 7 digits? 8 digits? 8 digits? 10 digits? They're just digits. When you don't use them, they belong to the bank. They don't belong to you. You make those money. You make money. But if you don't use them, it's always just a bank book. So make sure to use it up before you leave. How do you use it up? Give it back to the society. That's what it comes from. Charity, donation. Well, that's a sidetrack. So there's a alaya consciousness. You carry nothing, you carry only your karma. It's amazing the good karma you can bring with you when you reincarnate, and also the bad karma. Why are we all different? Some people are rich, some people poor, some people are healthy, some people intelligent, some people are stupid, unintelligent. Why? Because we have different karma. Did God give you the karma? Oh, God give me all this bad karma. I don't like it, God should give me good karma. Did God give you karma? If God give you bad karma, is He called a merciful God? If God only give good karma, how come we all suffering? Nothing to do with God. Throw that God concept. It's a superstition. Throw it out. No God. Just you. You understand? You have to know about yourself. So, who created this karma? Not God, not your dad, not your mom. You yourself created this karma. Don't blame anybody. You better watch all these. And how is karma created? Through what? Through you. Through your behavior, your speech, your thinking. Through all these things we've been talking about. Through consciousness. It's a chain effect. So I'm still talking on taming. Maybe when I touch the title, then the bell will go. And then we go to the dining room. But anyway, so we got these 8 consciousnesses. And do you want to know more about your own consciousness? This is about you, about me, about you. Do you want to understand more of you? Or you just care about your apartment, how it looks? You whitewash on the surface, you clean it on the surface, you just clean up your apartment, your material apartment, without cleaning up your spiritual apartment. Do you know that you have a spiritual inside of you that you should really clean up? So, we have these 8 consciousnesses. When the eyes see form, any form, when the ears hears a sound, when the nose smell, and when the tongue tastes, when the body touch, and when the mind thinks, what happened? What happened when the consciousness is arising? What happened? Many things happen, you know. There's 51 accompanying mental formations at the same time when a consciousness is arising. Maybe next time I'm going to print out those 51 consciousness for mental formations. You know why you have to remember these things? If you remember these things, then you know where your mental affliction comes from. Then you don't have to go to see a psychiatrist for your depression, because you know where it comes from. Maybe you even know more than a psychiatrist, because how can he knows you and you don't know yourself? How can you say, I don't know myself, I'll pay $500 for someone to know me? Would he be able to know you more, or you know yourself more? So, what are these 51 mental formations? No, maybe I just give you some information. I can't remember them all, but there's 51 when a consciousness is created. That is, remember there's 8 consciousnesses. So when it is created, at the same time, there's 5 general mental formations. The 5 general formations is, when that consciousness is created, of course, there's got to be attention, there's got to be contact, there's got to be perception, conceptualization, and volition at the same time. We call it general mental functions. Because why is it called general? If you take notes, you can take it down. The first one is very important. There's 5 general mental functions. Why they are called general? Because they apply to all the 8 consciousnesses. The first one is contact. When your eyes see, there's got to be contact of your eyes, your sensory organs, your visual function with the form. There's got to be contact. The sensory organ has to contact that object. If someone has impaired vision, that means he has an impaired eye organ, then there's no contact. Because if you close your eyes, you think there's contact, you don't have contact. Only when you open your eyes, you have contact. So the general mental functions, the first requirement, the first one is contact. When your ears listen, your auditory organ has to contact the sound. And the sound has to travel through the sound waves into your eardrums. So, just to give you an example, every one of these sensory organs need contact. And after that immediate contact, there is a perception. In other words, it goes a little stage further. You really perceive it. The sound is really received after the contact process. And when you receive that sound, then you also conceptualize it. What is that sound now, right now? The bell is going. My ears has contact, and then I perceive it because it comes close to my eardrums, and then I conceptualize it. Oh, this is the sound of a metal. You conceptualize it. And then you also, oh, this is the sound telling me to go for lunch. You conceptualize. When you conceptualize, you also remember. I've been told that's just the sound for lunch. In the process of conceptualization, there is analysis in it. But it is very superficial analysis. You don't analyze it more. You can. But if we analyze it more, we can't go for lunch. We'll be sitting in here. So I conceptualize it and analyze it, and you can't move. So after you conceptualize it, you have volition. What is volition? We better stop talking and go for lunch. We take action. So that's just the 5 general formations. There's still a lot more. So the study of consciousness is one very profound school of the Buddhist teaching. In the common English, it's called study of the consciousness. In the Sanskrit language, it's called Vujnanavada. When I come back next time, I'm going to explain more about these 51 mental formations. Why do you have to know it? Do you have to know your own apartment before you know yourself? How do you analyze yourself? How do you know yourself? You think you know yourself? We don't know ourselves. If we know ourselves, we wouldn't go mad, we wouldn't be greedy, we wouldn't have depression, we wouldn't be committing criminal offenses, we wouldn't be jealous, we wouldn't be fear and disappointment and hatred, greediness, you name all those that pull you down, that accumulate in our karma and responsible for our bad deeds and reincarnation. So if you know yourself, you've got to know your own consciousness.